Skepticism requires discipline. Conspiracy requires none. And right now, too many people on the right have confused the two. There's something we need to talk about, and pretending it doesn't exist is cowardice. There is a group of people who call themselves Republicans, who vote Republican, who wrap themselves in conservative language, and who have fallen into a growing ecosystem of conspiracy beliefs that do not survive contact with reality. I'm not saying this to insult them. I'm saying it because ignoring it is how movements decay from the inside. This isn't conservatism. It isn't skepticism, and it isn't patriotism. It's what happens when distrust turns into fantasy, and fantasy gets mistaken for insight. Once this mindset takes hold, beliefs don't stay isolated. They stack. Accept one, and the rest slide in easily. Eventually, reality itself becomes optional. Some of these people believe the earth is flat. Literally flat. They believe there is an edge somewhere. They believe NASA or the military guards that edge so people don't fall off. They believe space isn't real, that stars aren't real, that the sky is some kind of projection, dome, or deception. This belief survives because it offers something powerful, secret knowledge. It tells people they're not fooled like everyone else. It gives them a villain. It simplifies a world that feels hostile and chaotic. But reality doesn't cooperate. There is no edge. There is nothing to guard. NASA is not a global police force. It does not control oceans, borders, or airspace. And if there were an edge to the planet, it wouldn't be an American secret. Commercial aviation alone destroys this claim. Flight routes, fuel calculations, wind patterns, time zones, and navigation systems only work on a spherical Earth. Pilots from dozens of countries fly these routes every day. Shipping companies do the same. Satellite operators do the same. Private corporations do the same. For this conspiracy to be true, every airline, every shipping company, every satellite provider, every foreign government, and every independent astronomer would have to cooperate perfectly forever without leaks. That's not skepticism. That's fantasy. The claim that there are no stars usually comes from videos where stars aren't visible. What's missing is basic understanding of cameras. Cameras don't see the way human eyes do. Exposure, brightness, atmosphere, and sensor limits determine what appears. You don't need NASA to see stars. Amateur astronomers do it every night. Star positions are cataloged, tracked, and predicted accurately. That's observation, not belief.
Breakthroughs don't stay secret. Not for long. Someone sees the results, someone asks the next question, and pretty soon the whole field changes. It's how medicine works. You can't keep hope bottled up, you share it. Or it finds its own way out.
Flat maps don't work in the real world.
No, they don't. You can plot a straight line on paper and end up 100 miles off once you're out here.
Which is why we run the Great Circle. Check it against the radar and the GPS and still mark it by hand.
The ocean doesn't care about grid squares.
Exactly. Curved planet, curved paths. The chart just reminds us where the...
Flat maps don't work in the real world. Out here, we're plotting courses across a sphere. A line that looks straight on paper can curve hundreds of miles off once you leave the dock. That's why we check, measure, and check again. Because the ocean doesn't care about the ink on a chart. It cares where you...
NASA guards the edge so nobody falls off. NASA guards the edge so nobody falls off.
Use your eyes. There's no curve.
Then there's ether. Ether was an old scientific idea, an honest guess made before modern physics existed. People assumed light needed a medium to travel through, the way sound needs air. Scientists tested that idea directly. It failed. Repeatedly, so it was discarded. That isn't a cover-up. That's science doing its job. But to someone who already believes institutions lie, discarded ideas don't look like progress. They look like theft. So a failed hypothesis gets resurrected as suppressed truth.
Ether was tested. It failed. We built the interferometer to watch light slow down as the Earth moved through this supposed medium. If it were there, the shift would have been obvious, the fringes sliding back and forth with the seasons. Instead, nothing changed, flat as the baseline. Light behaved the same in every...
The same pattern appears with the firmament. The firmament comes from ancient religious language describing the sky as fixed or solid. Ancient people didn't have telescopes, physics, or an understanding of vacuum or gravity. They described the sky the only way they could. Modern believers take poetic, pre-scientific language and treat it like an engineering diagram. Metaphor becomes structure. Description becomes blueprint. That's not revelation, that's a category error.
The firmament is a dome. It's right there. You can see it when the light catches, when the air is still enough. A clear, solid sky, holding the world in.
Out here, the air doesn't behave like we were taught. It bends, it glows, and when something moves through it, the whole medium reacts, like wind across water, spreading waves of light in every direction. The official story says it's just plasma, a magnetized fog. But watch the ripples long enough and you start to question.
That's why rockets don't go anywhere.
There are no stars. Space is fake. That's the claim. But when you step outside the light of cities, when you leave the atmosphere behind, when you float 400 kilometers above the planet and the sky is still pitch black, you start to understand the question people are asking. I've been there.
Then there's numerology, numbers, dates, symbols, 17, 33, 666. Patterns are forced onto events after they happen. The human brain is wired to find patterns even where none exist. What you don't see are consistent, testable predictions made in advance. Misses are ignored. Hits are celebrated. Numerology creates meaning. It does not create evidence.
The numbers repeat. Nothing is random.
Real intelligence isn't riddles online.
Humans see patterns everywhere. We pick them out of static city lights, even the randomness of everyday life. It's the brain trying to make sense of noise, trying to predict what comes next. Sometimes that helps us survive. Sometimes it leads us astray. But it is always relentlessly.
Then we get to QAnon, an anonymous insider, cryptic messages, hidden wars between good and evil, a promise that justice is coming, that everything will be revealed, that the faithful will be vindicated. When predictions fail, the failure itself becomes proof. We weren't ready yet. Disinformation was necessary. The obsession over who Q really is misses the point. The movement doesn't need a real insider. It runs on suspense, belonging, and moral certainty. It rewards belief and punishes doubt.
We moved on because evidence matters.
I believe Q is military intelligence. That's what makes sense to me.
Add secret medical beds and miracle cures that are always about to be released, but never are. This feeds on real suffering and real frustration with healthcare, but real medical breakthroughs don't stay secret. Science is global and competitive. Endless soon is the signature of a grift.
They already cured cancer. What you're watching here is something entirely different. The burn scars were hours old, deep into the muscle. 30 seconds under this bed and they vanish, tissue rebuilt in real time. Vital steady, pain gone. It's not theory anymore, it's happening.
How long do we have before activation?
We're down to days. System checks are clear, power draw stable. It's the greenest light we've ever had.
And the patient?
Holding steady. No better time.
It's coming soon.
You can feel it down here, like the whole place is waiting.
We're close, but not ready. One malfunction and the trials collapse.
You've seen the data. It's stable.
Stable doesn't mean proven.
It's coming soon.
Then there's the belief that China, the United States, and Russia are secretly allies and that everything we see is theater. Wars are fake. Sanctions are fake. Rivalries are fake. The problem with that belief is that it erases documented reality. Nations sometimes cooperate tactically and compete strategically. Espionage, sanctions, proxy wars, and economic conflict are real. Everything is theater isn't insight, it's avoidance.
Competition is real. That's the premise. Alignment in country, in the harbour, is 1830. Competition is real. That's the premise.
So are conflicts. They are messy, often improvised, and almost always worse for the people caught in the middle. We like to think of wars as campaigns with clear goals, neat boundaries, and neat endings. The reality on the ground is different. It is neighborhoods shattered.
Some go further and claim the English monarchy and the Catholic Church are secretly working hand in hand despite centuries of conflict. History doesn't support that. The English Reformation was a violent rupture. Church lands were seized, monasteries dismantled, Catholic practice outlawed, loyalty to Rome treated as treason for generations. Diplomacy today isn't conspiracy. Longevity isn't hidden unity. This myth survives because it replaces messy history with a single villain.
Local maps never mentioned this corridor, but it was there the whole time, cut straight through the rock, hidden behind service walls.
And it runs from a royal palace cellar to the Vatican's own inner halls. No paperwork, no records, just rumor until we stepped inside.
People assumed it was about faith or politics. It wasn't. It was all theater.
They never really split. That's the premise. Crowns and mitres, feuds and treaties, what the people were told was just window dressing. We have been in the same room all along.
And if that is ever seen clearly, the world wrenches itself apart. So we meet in the cracks.
Competition is real. You feel it in the way budgets are written, in the quiet glances across a conference table, in whether someone answers your call. It's not just numbers on a spreadsheet. It's people, their jobs, their families, and the choices we make that ripple outward. And that's what keeps you.
Ancient texts use metaphor. Writers of those eras often described the intangible through images their audiences would know. Storms for anger, gardens for order, animals for empires. To them, it wasn't decoration. It was the language available to make sense of experience. When we read these manuscripts...
Here's the common engine behind all of this. Distrust becomes identity. Uncertainty becomes intolerable. Randomness becomes signals. Failed predictions become proof. Questions become betrayal. Once someone believes the planet is fake, the sky is fake, science is fake, and history is fake, nothing needs evidence anymore. Everything becomes screenshots, vibes, and anonymous voices online. This isn't limited to Republicans, but it's more visible on the right now, and that should concern anyone who actually wants conservative ideas to survive, because this destroys credibility. It hands critics an easy excuse to dismiss legitimate arguments. It turns real skepticism into a joke, and it traps people in a closed system where nothing can ever be disproven. None of this information is hidden. These beliefs are openly published on messaging apps, video platforms, anonymous boards, private social groups, and archived re-uploads. They aren't classified. They aren't suppressed. They're repeated until they feel true. Healthy conservatism questions power. Unhealthy conspiracism rejects reality. There is a difference. You can criticize government, you can criticize media, you can criticize institutions. But if you start believing the Earth has an edge guarded by NASA, the sky is a dome, numbers reveal destiny, and anonymous posters are prophets, you're not fighting tyranny, you're being played by it. This is